This is a do-it-yourself project making miniature fabric yo-yo rosette pieces for decoration on quilt blankets or pillows. My inspiration is from the 1920s to 1940 era, using different fabric designs and colors. This is a horizontal placement of the 5 3/4 by 4 1/2 inch quilt on a standard 1/12 scale twin bed. That is about 6 1/2 inches by 3 1/4 inches. And here is a vertical placement of the 221 yo-yo rosettes on top of the 1/12 scale twin bed that was made by a company called Candies. You can choose thin cotton, cotton blend, or similar fabrics to make the yo-yo rosettes. Materials and suggested items to complete this project are listed below in the description box. There are two ways I found to make the yo-yo pieces, either using a circle pouch method or a rectangle ribbon method, and both are hand sewn. To make a rectangular ribbon rosette, cut a 1 3/4 by 5/16 inch strip of fabric. Lightly apply glue to all the ends. When dry, fold in half lengthwise so that the insides of the fabric are together. Cut a single strand of thread about 6 inches to sew a base stitch or running stitch with thread joining the edges lengthwise. Leave a 2 to 3 inch excess thread on either end. Then gather the two ends as shown, pulling gently till the ends meet. As the circle rosette begins to form, separate the two threads and then tie them into a knot. Continue pulling the two threads together so that the fabric ends close tightly. Make a double knot. With fingers, press the yo-yo rosette piece flat. Use tweezers to adjust pleats or ruffles if needed. Cut the thread ends close to the rosette. Then apply glue to the knot to keep the circle thread secure. To make a pillow base for the yo-yo pieces, cut a 3 by 1 1/2 inch piece of fabric. Fold it in half lengthwise with the outside pieces facing inward, or the right side pieces together, as shown. Glue the two end sides together about 1/8 of an inch as a hem. Press together. When dry, reverse the fabric by turning it inside out. You can use tweezers and other blunt object tools to help turn the pillow inside out and shape the edges. Angle cut off a bit of the inside hem to help reduce a bulky seam in the end. Next, fold the open end inward about 1/8 of an inch on either side. The pillow will measure about 1 1/4 inches by 1 1/4 inches. Add some stuffing to the pillow, like cotton, quilt batting, beads, or other items. When the pillow has enough stuffing, glue the ends together from the inside and press close. Now you can add the yo-yo rosettes to the front of the pillow. I use 16 pieces. As shown, they can be glued or sewed on. You could also make another 16 for the back. I also have a video on how to make toy yo-yos. The second way to make the yo-yo rosettes is using the circle pouch method. Trace 5/8 inch circles on the back side of fabric, or you could use a pattern and pin it to the fabric. Cut out the circle shapes. I decided to make a larger yo-yo rosette for comparison. First I cut a 3 inch diameter fabric circle. Then I sewed a 1/4 inch fold over fabric hem around the perimeter. I know that there is a tool that you can make quick yo-yo larger pieces with something called a clover. It looks like it has two plastic template pieces that you can sew around it and then punch it out. The smallest size I saw was a 3/4 inch. So for my 5/8 inch circles, I'm going to have to do it the old-fashioned way by just hand sewing. After I had the hem all the way around, I started to gently pull the thread ends to create the circle pouch. I pressed it flat with my fingers, and then I secured it with a knot. I also used the tweezers to help spread out the pleats a little bit and to create a more uniform look. And depending how taut I pulled the center string, you could close the circle or leave the circle open a little bit. The 3-inch circle turned into a 1 1/4 inch rosette. And now you can see I'm comparing it to my 5/16 rosette. After making the larger regular rosette, I've decided to modify the smaller 5/8 inch circle one. Instead of making the hem in the center, I am going to use glue around the edges to stop the fabric from fraying. I add a few drops of water to the glue to thin it out just a bit, using a toothpick to stir it and mix it well. I have the fabric circle placed in the clamp, and then I dab glue around the edges. It keeps the glue off my fingers, and then it helps the circle dry from the glue. Once I have the glue all the way around the circle except under the clamp, I take another clamp and I do a switch off, and then I place the glue underneath that area. Then set the clamp aside so the circle can dry. Then repeat for more circles. I try to do about 16 at a time. That way there'll be some dry when I'm ready to start doing the sewing. Another reason why I'm doing the gluing besides the fraying is that a small hem like this would make it bulky when I pulled it together. Once the 5/8 inch circles are dry, I sew the base stitch around the perimeter about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. You can use a fabric coordinating thread color or use white or cream. Make sure to use enough thread to have 2 strands of 2 to 3 inches excess pieces, so that you can gather it at the end. With a small gauge needle and a thread of about 6 or 7 inches, go gently around the edge. I take about 1/16 of an inch stitches evenly spaced around the edge. When the stitches meet, gather the 2 ends and gently pull into a circle pouch shape. Use your fingers and tweezers to help keep the middle hole in the center. Tie a knot, pull it taut, and then a second and maybe third knot to keep it secure. Adjust the pleats if needed. The 5/8 inch fabric circle becomes a 5/16 inch yo-yo rosette. Add a dab of glue to the center on the thread. Cut excess thread to the fabric middle, then use a small stylus on a foam mat to press the center fabric into it while the glue is still moist. Then use the tweezers again to make any pleat adjustments. You can use your fingers to press the circle to shape and the stylus until the yo-yo rosette looks good. I have sorted the fabric yo-yos by color. Make another pillow as before, and glue or sew on the circle pouch rosettes. To make a yo-yo quilt blanket, determine the size that you'd like. This one is 5 3/4 by 4.5 inches long, using 221 5/16 of an inch yo-yo rosettes with 13 columns and 17 rows to use on a 1/12 scale twin bed. Decide on a pattern or a design and then lay out the pieces. With a needle, sew thread through the center of each yo-yo rosette by rows. So I sew 13 strands of 17 rosettes each. I used green thread. Tie a knot at one end, leaving a 2 to 3 inch extra thread at the other end. Make sure all the rosettes face the same direction, either up or down. Then lay the 17 rows together. Begin to sew them horizontally, joining the 13 columns. Again, knotting one end and leaving 2 to 3 inches of extra thread at the other end. Once all the yo-yo pieces are sewed together, adjust the rows and columns so that they are even. Then knot the other ends with the extra thread, add a dab of glue to all the knots, and cut the thread. I hope you like and share this fun project making mini yo-yo pillows and quilts. Thank you so much for watching.